All right, we'll look at Ryan Raley first here in the upper right. When we look at his swing, we're looking at I analyze three primary areas: back leg, back arm, front side. Okay, we'll take a look at the back leg first. Back leg, again, should control the feet. Okay, so we'll kind of start from the ground and work our way up. Back leg should really, when it loads, pull the front foot up. Okay, and as it unloads, it has an effect of putting the front foot down. Okay, so the back leg controls the feet. Two simple functions. It's got to load and laterally unload. Okay, so a real simple sense of just a two-part, load and then unload, is that sideways press is the first thing at the ball. Okay, so we take a look here at Ryan. First of all, in his setup with his stance, you can see how this toe is pointed back to the catcher. We really want to see both toes working straight ahead. I know Adrian opens up a bit here, but when we land, those toes are going to be working straight ahead here. And so we generally want to set up with our feet pointing straight ahead. I don't have too much of a problem with a guy that starts open and dives in, and I can work with that. But the general basic setup is we want those toes working straight ahead, and that's going to position that knee inside the foot. You can see because Ryan has this toe pointed back here towards the catcher, the knee kind of tends to drift out here and kind of gets on top of or kind of outside of that back foot. So let's work on toes straight ahead, knee inside the back leg. Okay, as we take a look at Ryan's back leg action, we see he has a good load there. In other words, he definitely loads the back side. I think he's doing a little bit too soon, too early, and making the whole movement maybe bigger than it ought to be. Remember, Ryan, get ready right before that pitcher lets go of the ball. So in other words, you just simply get that back leg ready right before the release of the ball. Okay, so don't do it too soon. All right, now within about 10 feet, hopefully you've read the the speed of the pitch, and then at a point around a little bit before halfway, that back leg is going to begin to make its press, its unload to the front side. Okay, you can see there with Ryan's back foot, you can see how the heel may be coming up a little prematurely. Okay, he's kind of lifting it and then spinning it. Okay, there's not as much of a drive component there. It's a little bit more of a lift the back heel and turn the back foot kind of move. Whereas here you see with Adrian that inside part of the back foot, you can see it right there, is still grounded, and he's kind of pressing, pushing off the inside part of that back foot. You can see Ryan's heel already up there. So what's important, and again, Ryan does get off his backside there. He's weightless, before and through contact, but there's not nearly the driving component, and that's what's important, is how much force did this back leg create? Not so much that it becomes weightless, but how much force did it create? And with Adrian, you can see he creates enough force there that it not only does it get off of his backside, but the foot also drives forward a little bit there. Okay, and we don't always see that. Usually it's a pretty good indicator, but again, the main thing is that the back leg loads and there's a good unload of the back leg there. Okay, with Ryan, we don't see that drive. In other words, the heel comes up, but the foot still kind of spins in the same place. There's not nearly the driving aspect to it. All right, let's take a look now at the front side. And again, really, the front side really includes everything from the eyes down through the foot. Okay, and when we look at that front side, we really want it to land basically the same way it started. In other words, it's still square. The front leg, the front foot is square. The front knee is bent but firm. Front shoulders square. Hips haven't opened yet. They've begun to open right after the foot lands, but it's still, we want this sense that everything's squared off at that point. Okay, as we take a look at Ryan here, we look at the front side, and you can see, he's still fairly squared off now. But it's good to know, even though most people will land that way, most people don't realize it, and it's good to understand that, hey, in your stance, this front side is going to land generally speaking the same way that it starts. Now, one thing that I don't like with Ryan is his first move at the ball really is kind of the flopping open of that front foot. Okay, now the front foot can open some, but you don't want to feel like it's your first move at the ball. Generally, the less flexible the player is, the less square he can land. okay? But this is too much, and this is too much of a first move at the ball. Ryan needs to work on being less active with that front foot and really letting the back leg control the front foot. Let the back leg pull it up and put it down, okay? As we continue to look at the front side, we want to see some good tilt out of that torso, and we're getting that there from Ryan. There's pretty good tilt there to stay behind the ball, okay? The head is back, okay, and the eyes are level. The head's in a pretty good position there, okay? We also want to take a look at what the lead arm is doing here, and we want that lead arm to stay really close to us, and he does that pretty well here too, okay? We don't want to feel like that bicep gets away from us, and we like that, okay? Now, the lead arm, though, is pulling the bat around kind of in a circle there. He's trying to yank the bat around the corner. Whereas you look at Adrian's lead arm here, you can see how it's going to get to a point here, and it's going to decelerate, and the hands snap over. So in other words, he's not in a hurry to pull that lead arm around the corner. Okay, you can see how his lead arm has already gone behind him, and you can see where Adrian's is. Okay, so easy thing to say there is hit the ball with your hands, Ryan, not with your arms. Feel the hands turn over. Hit it with your hands, not with your arms. Okay. All right. Lastly, the back arm. Okay, the back arm, very simple. Here, as you look at Adrian, that elbow should lift. Okay, and it's going to slot. And when we slot, we want to see that bat stacked above the hands with the elbow directly beneath. Okay. As we look at Ryan there during the load phase, you can see we get some winding up there. That's very good. Okay, you can see that elbow kind of work up. I wouldn't change too much of that. I would be aware of it and continue to work on perfecting it. But that's a pretty good upward movement loading action of the back elbow. The hand position needs to change so that the barrel stays, more out in front of us and not wrapped behind our head here. But the elbow does load. Then the elbow is going to work to the ball, and we're in a pretty decent, position there. If we can, if you follow the bat here, okay, when he starts to slot, that bat's staying pretty tall and right here. He's in a pretty good position to launch from. Okay, that's really not too bad. Okay, now from here, once the elbow slots, now from here we just want to see that right hand fire out and finish that throwing action. Okay, on this swing and on most swings, Ryan's back arm, at contact, really isn't close enough to finishing. In other words, it's still very, very bent there. You can see Adrian, as he makes contact, that back arm is much closer, to getting finished. Whereas Ryan's back arm is still flexed back here. So you want to feel that arm, get out there, okay, get to this point, get close to finishing, and then feel those hands turn over. Okay, so there needs to be more of a sense of finishing that right arm and hand through contact with the baseball. Okay, so for Ryan, the basic thing is quit spinning the feet, quit trying to spin the back one, and quit spinning the front one open. Okay, and then the other big thing for him is hit the ball with your hands, not your arms. Don't let the lead arm pull the bat around the corner, and get closer to finishing that back arm or hand through contact. All right, here's Zach Gingrich here on the bottom left. Okay, and again we'll go back leg, front side back arm here. Okay, back leg, load, unload. Okay. Now what Zach does is, the foot comes up, the back leg's loaded, but he kind of sets the toe down here and doesn't really he kind of comes to, there's a little bit of a pause there. Okay, and then he kind of goes afterwards. So the step he takes or the stride he takes doesn't unload the back leg. So, and again, I consider him, a no stride hitter in the sense that, the entire press or push happens with the toe on the ground. Okay, so he kind of sets down and then goes. So this is kind of a false stride, and that can work, but the timing, the rhythm of the load unload of the back leg shouldn't be disrupted. And I think there's a little bit too much of a pause here. Okay, so that's his load, and then the unload. Okay, there is a pressing action there. Okay, um, but it's not, really significant. And you can see, as he's making contact, we still have a lot of weight on that backside. He's more concerned with turning the leg than he is driving with it. Okay, and so we do get more of a bug squish kind of action there. Okay, the back leg, again, very simple, has a load and a sideways unload to it. Okay, whereas here, we're more concerned with spinning it. Here you can kind of see that foot grounded and the sideways move he's making. And here, it's more or less just spinning or slipping on the toe. Okay, so we've got to get simpler and just worry about loading and unloading that back leg. I would prefer that you go to, get to a more traditional type of stride to kind of simplify things instead of trying to set the toe down early and get set. Okay, now the front side, again, the toe goes here, but then the first move after the toe gets down is to fan the foot open. Okay, and we're a little wide here when we land. We're not a little wide, we're a lot wide, and really that's got to stop. Again, your first move at the ball cannot be to bail or open up on the front side. Okay, so when Zach is when his front heel drops, okay, that foot opens, and you can see how wide open he is when he lands compared to Adrian. And even to the other hitters here, everything is predicated on getting wide open immediately. Okay, chest is out, the front, the hips have already, the pelvis is already spun open. Look how much more closed Adrian's hips are here. Okay, so when we land, okay, there's a very simple, load, unload of the back leg. Okay, but the body is still square. Okay, nothing has opened, so that's got to stop. Again, the knee should be behind the foot, here, bent but firm. Here the knee is too bent and it's on top of the foot, so we've got to get a leg more like this. Front shoulder should stay in. Okay, let's keep looking at the lead arm. Lead arm stays long, and that's good, nice and long with the lead arm, but the hand should work maybe a little quicker, not be quite so concerned with pulling the left arm around the corner. Okay, and also there's a lot of drop that happens right before he hits the ball. He's up on that toe, and then the whole head just drops down. That's a lot of down. The head will move forward and down in the swing, but that's too much and too late with the head movement. Okay, but the biggest issues are, is forcing the turn, forcing the spin. Okay, let's look at the throwing arm now, the back arm. The elbow should work up and then to the ball. And we do get some upward movement there, but then when he slots, you can see how the bat is trapped back here. This is a very difficult position to launch from, and it's impossible against high-level pitching to hit consistently with the bat back here. The bat becomes too heavy and the swing becomes too long in that position. Okay, so we've got to be able to slot the elbow and keep the bat up, keep the palm facing here on the pitcher. Okay, as the back arm comes through to finish. Alright, so we're slotted here. Now the back arm's got to throw out and finish. Okay. Again, we'd like to see that, that arm maybe a little closer to finishing at that point. But again, the issue is all of the feet, the foot spinning. His swing is driven by, turning the front foot over and spinning the back one, in his mind at least. Okay. So Zach, we got to stay more square. Okay, quit trying to spin your feet. Okay, once we get to this position, we want to stay tilted. Okay, tilted with the upper, much less turn. Okay, look how we can still see Adrian's chest here. Okay, so with the torso through contact, once we slot, we want to be tilted. Okay, we want to be tilted with less turn. Okay, so we'll get here, stay tilted, and turn those hands over. Alright, here's Sean Hucklepa here in the bottom right. Okay, we'll take a look at, again, back leg first. Okay, he kind of uses a tap back to load. Okay, but he's really he's fighting trying to stay back, The foot sets down, and he's really not pressing there. He's kind of collapsing the back knee in an effort to kind of keep the weight back. Front heel gets down. And he does, he does keep the weight back. he's more concerned with turning the foot instead of using the back leg as a driver of force or a driver of energy. Okay, and we get kind of this weighted back foot bug squish look here out of the back leg. So there needs to be more of an effort to load and then laterally unload that back side. Okay, here front side, front foot does open, right, but kind of toe sets down, kind of get the toe down early, and then kind of the foot flops open after that. That's more opening than I would say would be permissible there. Okay, when the heel does drop, we'll take it the first frame after the heel drops. Okay, you can see the upper still fairly closed, the lower starting to open a little bit prematurely. The knee is a little bit more on top of the foot. We want to see that knee really significantly behind the foot. So we really want our feet to land like this. Okay, knees inside of feet still straight ahead. Okay, so quit trying to spin this foot. Quit letting this foot spin open. Okay, as we work our way up. Lead arm stays really close to the body. I'd say that's a little too barred out right there. That's going to hurt adjustability. We want to let the lead arm extend. We don't want to force it, but we don't want to fight it either. But I think that's a bit forced with regard to the lead arm. Okay, as we get contact, we get the hands turn over really nicely. In other words, that lead arm doesn't. He stays nice and long through that lead arm. He doesn't try to pull that lead arm around the corner. The hands snap over pretty good. Now he hit the top of that ball. A lot of people say that was roll over. That's not what happened. His hands are palm up, palm down here at contact. Then he hits the top of the ball, and that kind of throws the bat up a bit. Okay, so pretty good job there with the lead arm. The head stays back pretty good, and we do have a pretty good overall, tilted position here to where we're, staying leveraged behind the front side. So that's pretty good. Okay, let's finish up now with the back arm. Okay, we want to see that back arm load or wind up. We see that with the elbow lifting. We get a little bit of that there. Okay, I try to improve upon that. As the elbow slots, we want to see that barrel stacked above the hands, and the barrel's actually in a pretty good position. I do think that the lead arm barring out is a bit of an issue, and I think we're going to have to loosen that up before the back arm gets perfect. But he's in a pretty good position here to launch from, in that the barrel's still stacked above the hands and the elbow is slotted in. From here, we want to see that right hand throw over and through. Okay, and the hands get through pretty good. Okay, so we really want to see that hand throw out and through contact. And that's really not too bad. Okay. So the back arm, I would again work on a little more elbow action loading, okay? And then feeling that elbow really work to the ball while the hands stay back. Those hands are a little lower maybe than I would recommend. I think part of that's due to the collapsing on the backside. The whole backside wants to, stay back. Again, if you look at Adrian, he's definitely tilted as he gets to the front side, but there's not a sense that he's collapsing either, okay? So the body tilts, but we're off that backside, and so there's a different dynamic going on there. Okay, so the key and the dichotomy of hitting, the thing that people get confused on is we want to be off of the back. You see Adrian, he's off of the back, but he's tilted and behind the front. Okay, so we're off of the back, but we're tilted and behind the front side. Okay. So Sean will just work on a better back leg action, improve a little bit of the looseness, with the elbow loading and unloading, relax the lead arm a bit. Okay, continue to hit behind the front side, continue to use good hand action through the ball. I think he'll be in good shape.